I'm audible today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Gajendra Pal on behalf of Meadow Agriculture. I'm warmly welcome you all participation today. Today's session on apiculture scientific beekeeping under the 21 days summer school Agri-Excel 4.0. We are honored to have Dr. Pradeep Kumar Dalal, Assistant Professor, Acharya Narendra Deva University of Agriculture and Technology, Kumarganj, Ayodhya. As our esteemed resource persons, without taking much of time, your valuable time, I request Dr. Pradeep Kumar Dalal sir to kindly begin
Okay,
today's
what you want?
session. Thank
Very
you.
good evening to everyone. I also like to welcome all the participants in this 21 days summer school program conducted by the Meadow Agriculture. I would also like to thank the organizers of this 21 days summer school program for inviting me to deliver my expert lecture. So my the topic of my today's discussion would be about the apiculture, beekeeping. So it includes the discussion about the historical aspects of the beekeeping. Then it would also include the discussion upon the fundamentals of beekeeping. Other than that, uh, it would also include the discussion about what are the various aspects required in order to perfectly manage the bees during different seasons. Then, other than that, we would also be discussing about a bit advancement that have taken place in the recent past in apiculture and what has been taken place in the entrepreneurship development in the beekeeping. And bees have also been the part of art and culture of different civilization of different parts of the world. So this will my the overall presentation will be centered around these particular topics which have been divided. So initially I will discuss about the introductory part. Now why there is a need of beekeeping in India. So India is basically a richly biodiverse country. It is believed that India is the second most biodiverse country after Brazil, and it has different flora and fauna available throughout different time or different seasons in India. So you will have different type of plants, different type of animals, different type of insects. As far as the diversity of bees are concerned, India has about 7 different species of honeybees available in India. But if we look into the scenario of the agriculture in India, so the per capita land availability of agricultural land in India is very low. If we take on an average a single person land availability, it is less than even 1 hectare land. So beekeeping is one such enterprise which is very much suited for uh, those people which are landless farmers, marginal farmers, unemployed youth, women farmers, and it is one such enterprise which is believed to improve the productivity of several crops. It is widely being scientifically proven that approximately 30% of the crops are being pollinated by bees, and it improves its yield. Majority of the Western countries, they are improving their agricultural crop yield by means of bee pollination. So, if we talk about the scenario of India, there are about 34 lakh bee colonies present in India. And because of the richly biodiverse nature of our country, so India has the potential to keep about 200 million bee colonies. Almost 20 crores of colonies we can keep in India. India has exported in the previous year about 1470 crore worth of honey to the other countries. And that is, it has exported about 1 lakh 10,000 kilogram of honey. And under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, the Prime Minister has launched the Sweet Revolution with the budget allocation of 500 crores. It is expected to boost the yield scenario and the number of bee colonies of India, and it will certainly improve the export of the honey to the other parts of the world. So, beekeeping has a very rich history. If we talk about the scientific development of beekeeping, so there have been several stalwarts which have been associated with beekeeping. Initially, a Polish apiculturist, Johann Dzierzon, he was the first one to have developed and domesticated the wild species of Apis mellifera into the man-made movable beehive. That is the reason he is regarded as the father of apiology and apiculture. It is one such hive which you can migrate from one place to the another. That is the reason it is called the movable hive. Similarly, in USA, Dr. L. Langstroth, he developed the Langstroth beehive in the year 1851. And other than that, he gave the concept of bee space. That is the reason he is now regarded as the father of modern beekeeping. Bee space primarily means the space between two frames inside the colony, or the space between the beehive and the frames. Similarly, as far as India is concerned, Dr. A.S. Atwal, Avtar Singh Atwal, he successfully introduced the Western honeybee, European honeybee in India. So, Apis mellifera is the exotic honeybee, which was first of all introduced into the Nagrota Bagwan area in Himachal Pradesh in the year 1962, and that is the reason he is regarded as father of beekeeping in India. So, other than these important inventions and discoveries, there has been a very wonderful discovery being done by Dr. Karl von Frisch. He was an Austrian scientist who discovered the bee communication by means of dances by honeybees. Bees conduct two different type of dances. One is the round dance, and one is the waggle tail dance. So, round dance is the one when the bees they understand their environment which is near to their hives. They know that their food resource is nearer to the 50 meters, so they do the round dance. The bees, they do the round dance over their honeycombs. But when the bee sources, pollen and nectar, they are far away, then they conduct the waggle dance. So this is their means of telling the source availability in the near surrounding of the honeybee hives where they are being kept. So, for this particular discovery, Dr. Karl von Frisch was awarded with the Nobel Prize in the year 1973. So, if we talk about the beekeeping in India, even in India also, there has been a very rich history, and you can see that in the picture. It is a Mesolithic rock art, which is depicting the Apis dorsata beehives. So these Mesolithic rock art are found in the Pachmadi caves in the Satpura region in Madhya Pradesh. And this is one such representation you can see in the ancient India. Other than this, the beekeeping in the Britishers era, in the pre-independence era, has largely been the forest-based industry, and it was being conducted by the forest dwellers and tribals, and they used to hunt the beehives, and they keep the beehives like in the mud hives or logs, scaps, or pots which were prevalent. Other than that, the initial effort were made to introduce the Apis mellifera in India by the Britishers in the year 1880s to 1884. But these efforts were remained largely unsuccessful. And during those times, there was one employee of Postal Department in India, Dr. John Douglas. He published a very wonderful book on Handbook of Beekeeping in India in the year 1884. Thereafter, one of the important pioneers of beekeeping was from South India, that is from Tamil Nadu and Kerala. He was Father Newton. He developed a small wooden movable hive for Apis serena bee species in Kanyakumari Travancore region in the year 1909. And even Mahatma Gandhi also made beekeeping as an integral part of his India's freedom struggle, that is Swaraj Andolan. And other than that, as I've discussed, that Dr. A.S. Atwal also introduced the Apis mellifera in Nagarota. The first bee research station was established by Dr. Sardar Singh in Nagarota in the year 1936. Similarly, Sri Ramnath Mattu, he formed the All India Beekeepers Association in the Joylicote, Nainital, and he is also credited with the formation of Joylicote hives. Other than that, there was one journal being published from Pune, Maharashtra, that is Indian Bee Journal. So this is the journal which largely encompasses all the research work being conducted in the field of beekeeping. Then ICR established its first research station in Punjab in the year 1945, and the Apicultural Research Laboratory was established at Mahabaleshwar in the year 1951. Under the Department of Khadi Village Industry Commission, the Central Bee Research and Training Institute was established at Pune in the year 1962. And finally, there is a National Bee Board which was established in 2000 under the Small Farmers Agribusiness Consortia. So this is one such board which provide the budget for establishment of all the apiaries, beekeeping work which is to be conducted by small farmers. So such kind of budget allocation is being provided by the National Bee Board. So now we'll discuss about what are the various type of benefits that we get from the honeybees. So important benefits that we get from the honeybee, the most important of them all are not the honey, are not the wax or the pollen. Rather, it is the pollination which is considered as the most important beneficial outcome of keeping the honeybees. If the bee pollination is not being conducted, so it may cause the substantial reduction of yield all over the world. So other than the bee pollination, the important bee products that we get from bees are, most important is the honey. The second of them all is the pollen, wax, royal jelly, bee venom. And nowadays there is a trend being done in the area of Himachal Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, where there are larger apple orchards or pear or plum orchards. There the farmer and orchardist, they are keeping and renting the bee colonies for about rupees 600 to 800 rupees per colony. So these are the important things that are happening, and the beekeepers, they are also earning a lot because of such happenings. So first of all, we'll discuss about the relevance of bees in the crop pollination. As I've discussed that roughly up to 30% of the crops, they are dependent on bees for pollination needs. And the production of 77 crops in India is dependent upon the bees. The crop which are largely dependent upon the bees include the mustard, sunflower, cotton, lucerne, onion, and apple. So if bees are not prevalent in the area, that will lead to the pollination deficit, and that will lead to the substantial decline in the yield of these crops. So bees are important organism, important entity which is required for yield enhancement in these particular crops. And it is being estimated that bees contributes to about 22.52 billion US dollar worth of pollination to the Indian agriculture. That is the free ecosystem services being provided by the bees in India, in Indian agriculture. And there was one important news that was famous. It was the last year news that the onion seed production was reduced substantially just because there was low presence of the natural honeybees, that is Apis indica. So this news article was published in Indian Express. So you can see here that the absence of bees has resulted in the substantial reduction in the yield, seed yield of the onion crop. So now we'll discuss about the honey, which is also considered as the natural sweetener. It is believed that it is the first sweetener which is being tasted by the human beings rather than sugar. It is the only sweetener which was first of all being tasted by the human beings. So it comes in variety of different forms depending upon on which flower does the bee visit. It comes in mustard honey, lychee honey, eucalyptus honey, ajwain honey. It is an instant source of energy. It is used in the Ayurvedic medicines. It improves the immunity against the seasonal diseases, and it is a key ingredient in Ayurvedic medicine. So if we talk about the production scenario of honey of the world as well as of India, so India comes on the 6th spot as far as the production of honey is concerned. So a lot has to be done as far as honey production in India is concerned. China is the leader in the honey production. If we look into the scenario of honey production in India, so Uttar Pradesh produces the highest amount of honey, which is about 25,000 metric ton, followed by West Bengal, which is about approximately 24,000 metric tons. So a lot has to be done. There is a bigger scope of honey enhancement in the honey production in India. The main important reason has been for low production is the lack of training. You can say majority of farmers, they are very much reluctant to adopt this particular enterprise just because they do not have enough knowledge, enough training about the beekeeping. So such kind of lectures may encourage the budding youths to move towards the beekeeping, and this may also lead to the yield enhancement, honey production enhancement of India on the world map. So there are apprehensions among the people that how come we test the purity of honey. Now, there are widely prevalent home-based test method to test the purity of honey. The home-based method involves that you put a drop of honey on the glass of water. When it touches the bottom of the glass of water without any giving color to the glass of water, so that is considered as a pure honey. Similarly, there are various other advanced methods of testing the purity of honey. Nowadays, such kind of adulterant are being added to the honey that it is very difficult to detect whether it is a pure honey or impure honey. So for those kind of adulterant, these important methods that are elemental analysis, mass spectrophotometry, and nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, which detects the high fructose corn syrup, and even the melissopellinological profiling, which will tell about the actual source from where the honey has been brought by the bees, whether the bee visited the mustard flower, or it has visited the sunflower, or it has visited the lychee flower. So it can be told upon by the melissopellinological profiling. Other than that, the composition of honey involves the total dissolved solids, which consist of about 70 to 80%. Fructose largely remains about 35 to 40%. Non-reducing sugars would remain about 2 to 5%. Glucose would remain about 32 to 38%, and water is not more than 25%. Largely, it is remain about the 17 to 20%. But vitamins, minerals, they are in the trace amounts. So such is the composition of honey in terms of its nutritional profiling. And if we talk about the characteristics of honey, this is important just because honey is one such agricultural produce, which is exported to the another country. It is important for any exporter to provide such grades or characteristics of the honey. So a specific gravity of a good quality honey should not be more than 1.35. Moisture should not be more than 25. Total reducing sugar should not be more than 65. Sucrose should not be more than 5%. Fructose glucose ratio should not be less than 0.95%. Ash should not be more than 0.5%. Acidity should not be more than 0.2%. The Fehie test should be negative. Aniline chloride test should be negative. The hydroxymethyl furfural should be less than 80 milligram per kilogram. So this is one such chemical which is found in the honey if the honey is mixed in any hot liquid. So it is being advised to the consumers that they should not mix the honey in any hot liquid, hot water or hot milk. Rather, they should use the lukewarm water, lukewarm milk, instead of using the very hot water. Otherwise, the honey gets converted into hydroxymethyl furfural, which has a very toxic effect to the human body. So it is to be considered, and even the Food Safety Standard Authority of India is also considering this particular parameter while giving the license for the sale of honey. Other than that, the honey comes in various grades. If the water content is less than 20%, it is a special grade honey. A grade honey is about having less than 22%, and agmark honey is having the water content varying from 22 to 25%. The second important product that we get from bee is the bee pollen. Now, how come the bees they get the pollen? As you know that when the bees they visit the flower, so flower have two different things, or flower provide two different things to the honeybees. The first thing they get from the flower is the nectar. The nectar gets converted into honey. Nectar is the sugary liquid, which is rich in sugars and rich in moisture content. So the bees they put that nectar inside their mouth, inside their honey stomach, and it they mixes the enzyme invertase enzyme into it, and as a result the moisture content get decreased. Other than that, the sugars, the non-reducing sugars which is there, they get converted into reducing sugars such as fructose and glucose. Ultimately, they transfers the processed nectar to the mouth of the other honeybee, and ultimately after being processed for 2 3 times, the honey which is being fully ripened, it is being filled in the combs of the wax inside the hive. So this is how the honey is produced. As far as pollen is concerned, so pollen it is microscopic in nature, which is found in the anther of the flower. When any honeybee visit the flower, so there is a separation of charge on the body of the honeybee and on the flower, anther of the flower. There is negative charge on the anther and there is positive charge on the honeybee. Because of this separation of charges, the anther bursting takes place, and all the pollen which is present inside the anther, it get dusted over the body of the honeybees. So bees, they also have a grooming behavior. They always try to clean their body. As a result of their cleaning action, all the pollen, microscopic pollen, they get converted into pollen loads, pollen pellet, and they get collected at the hind legs. So you can see in this picture, in the left hand, in the bottom picture, you can see on the legs of the honeybee that there are pellets of the bee pollen. So these pellets of the bee pollen can be collected by using of the pollen traps. These pollen traps can be placed on the entrance of the honeybee colony. So when a bee tries to enter inside the colony through these traps, so all the pollen loads which is present on their legs, they get knocked off and gets collected in the tray of the trap. So on an average, we can collect about 250 grams of pollen from single colony per day during the active season of honeybee. And those active seasons are the winter season and the spring season. So this is these days it is becoming also a very important product, particularly for the sports persons, for gym goers, for bodybuilders. So it is believed that it has about it has been proven also that 25 to 30% of protein is present in it. Roughly 16 amino acids are available through these particular bee pollen. Then there is royal jelly. It is also considered as a bee milk. So these are the secretions of hypopharyngeal gland of worker honeybee, and they are basically required for development of queen honeybee. Now, a very unique property of this particular material of beehive product is that it has the anti-aging properties. As we will discuss about the characteristics of different caste of honeybee, the queen bee can live up to 3 years, whereas the worker honeybees they can live up to 42 days. So this distinction, this disparity in the lifespan of two different castes of honeybee is only because of the royal jelly. So royal jelly, it has the anti-aging properties, they are rich in the antioxidants, and they are sold in the market for about rupees 5 lakh rupees per kg. So they are very important, becoming a very important bee product nowadays. Then there is the bee wax, which is also being secreted from the wax glands of the honeybee. So they are being secreted. The natural wax they are required for required as a carrier by the different pharmaceutical industry, cosmetic industry. Then other than that, even candle industry is also using the bee wax. Even the beekeeping industry, they are also making the comb foundation sheets. So they are being also being required by different industry in India as well as out of India. Then another bee product that the bee produces is the propolis. Now it is believed that it is a natural antibiotic agent which from which the ointment and tincture can be made, and these ointment and tincture can be applied on the wounds, on the cuts, burns, and they are working as a over the counter pharmaceutical product. Then there is bee venom. You are very much very well aware of that bee they stings, and their sting is available on the abdomen rather than on their mouth. So let me make you clear that the bee stings, जो डंक होता है, जो sting होता है, it is available on their abdomen, and they try to sting their enemy whenever they feel threatened by their enemy. They try to sting. So that stinging action releases the venom from their glands, and that venom can be collected by means of venom collector. Roughly from a single colony, we can collect about 60 to 70 milligrams of venom, and those venom are readily being required by the pharmaceutical industry, particularly anti-rheumatoid arthritis medicines are being prepared. Similarly, there are some dermatological diseases for which this particular bee venom is also required. So if we compare the prices of different honey product, different bee products, so you can see here that raw honey can be the prices can in the range of 100 to 120 rupees per kg. Similarly, processed honey, a pure honey after removing the impurities, it can be of about 400 to 1000 rupees per kg. Pollen loads can be sold for up to 1000 to 1500 rupees per kg. Royal jelly can be sold for up to uh, 2 lakh rupees per kg to up to 5 lakh rupees per kg. Beeswax can be sold for up to 800 to 1000. Bee venom for up to 5 to 7 lakh, and propolis for 10 to 15,000. So if we calculate the overall economics of beekeeping unit from 50 colonies, for example, if someone wants to take up this particular enterprise, beekeeping, so for 50 colonies, he would have to invest about 2 lakh rupees, 12,000 rupees he has to invest for about honey extractor machine, then other accessories and all of labor charges, including everything. The total expenditure would come about 4 lakh 32,000. So in the first year, it is believed that if the person he successfully conducts the beekeeping, and he gets about 20 kg per colony on an average, so he can earn about 4 lakh rupees from the honey itself. Then bee wax he can earn about 10,000 rupees. Pollen he can earn about 7,500, and year after year he can also increases the colonies. Roughly 20% of colonies can get increased after 1 year. So he can earn about 40,000 rupees from each colony. So overall gross income during first year he can get about 4 lakh 57,000. So during the first year he can earn only about 25,000 5 year. That means almost all the cost which has been expended on all the beekeeping requirements, whether it is bee colonies or other accessories, so that will be cleared during the first year. But in the next year, whatever the outcome he will get, so that outcome he will get as a net return. So that net return would be about 1,96,300. So that will be the net income that a beekeeper may get from 50 colonies. So if he has more colonies, he would get more return from the beekeeping. So we'll discuss now about the fundamental of beekeeping, that what kind of different species are found in India. There are roughly about 7 honeybee species which are found in India. And if we talk about all bee species, whether it is a honey producing bees or non-honey producing bees, so there are about 20,000 bee species in the world. But out of these 20,000, only 7 species are the one which can produce honey, and India is one of the only country which is having all 7 different kind of honeybees, which include rock bee, that is Apis dorsata. Now it has Apis dorsata is a ferocious honeybee. and it cannot be domesticated. They are wild species. They have a very large foraging range, and they can remain active in very cold conditions as well as at a very hot conditions. So very resilient bee species, and they can provide up to 40 to 45 kg of honey per colony, single colony. They make a single hive. Then the second important species is the Apis mellifera. It is an Italian bee. It is also referred to as Western honeybee or European honeybee. So this species is the one which is not native to India. It is prevalent to Italy, and it can produce roughly up to 100 kg of honey per colony per year. So you can imagine the importance of this particular bee species. It is the only bee species which is being commercialized now, domesticated. This can be domesticated. The important properties are they make the parallel hives, and they are of very gentle nature rather than that of the rock bee. Then Indian bee. Indian bee, it is Apis indica. It can give up to 10 to 15 kg of honey, and they also make the parallel hives. So previous to the Apis mellifera, previous to 1962, it is only the Apis indica which was domesticated in India. Then there is one Apis florea, little bee. So the hives of this particular bee you can get in the bushes during the winter season. You can witness this particular species of honeybee during the winter season, especially on the mustard crop. Other than these species, then there are very less known species, that is Apis koschevnikovi, then giant Himalayan bee, which is restricted to the Nepal region, Bhutan region, Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim. So it is believed that they are the largest bee species, even larger than the rock bee. Then the among the smaller species, then there is Apis andreniformis, which is a black dwarf. So these are the important species of honeybees prevalent in India. And here you can see the distribution of different honeybee species in the world. And you can see that in India, the prevalence of different bee species. And if you see the other parts of the world, you can see there are several subspecies of Apis mellifera, whether it is Apis mellifera scutellata, Apis mellifera mellifera, Apis mellifera aberiensis. So different species, different subspecies of Apis mellifera is also there. So you can see here the pictures of different honeybee hives, black dwarf bee, small palm-shaped hive. Similarly, red dwarf bee also have the palm-shaped hive, whereas the Apis dorsata, you can see that they have a very bigger sized hive, bigger than even 1.5 meters. And largely you whatever the honey that you get from the local seller, most of the honey you get it from the Apis dorsata. Now here you can see the domesticated bee species. On the left hand side you can see Apis indica, which I've just told you. They make parallel hives, they live in cavities, and they can yield up to about 10 to 15 kg of honey. Even mud hives also have the Apis indica species, and Apis mellifera, they are also being domesticated. They can be kept in wooden hives, and they can yield up to even up to 100 kg of honey rather than 50 to 60 kg. They are exotic bee species. So now we'll discuss about the society of bees, honeybees. Honeybee, it is a eusocial insect. Now, what is the meaning of eusocial? Eusocial insect means that they have the parental care, they have overlapping of generation, they have division of labor, similar to what we human beings are having. Such characteristics are also being possessed by the honeybee. So honeybees have different caste, and the worker caste is the one which carries out most of the activities of a bee colony. So Apis mellifera worker bee, there are about 20,000 Apis mellifera worker bee within the hive, and there is only single queen bee in the hive. So the work of queen bee is to lay eggs simply, whereas the drones, there are about 200 to 300 drones in the hive, in the bee hive. Okay, now we'll discuss about their development. So as far as the worker bees are concerned, it takes about 21 days to develop a worker bee from egg to the adult, and they live for up to 42 days. They live for up to only 6 weeks, 42 days they can live. Whereas the drones are concerned, they takes about 24 days for their development from egg to adult, and they live for about 24 days. As far as queen is concerned, they take about 16 days for completing their development, but they can live up to 3 to 4 years. So it is only the feeding of royal jelly which has led queen to sustain for up to 3 to 4 years. Whereas the worker bees and the drones, they feed upon the bee bread. Bee bread is nothing but the mixture of nectar and pollen. We'll discuss in brief about the morphology of honeybee. This is the mouth part. Bees have the chewing and lapping type of mouth part. So these mouth part, the bees, the worker bee, they insert into the nectary part of the flower, and as a result, they suck up the nectar into their mouth part and ultimately into their honey stomach, where they get converted into the honey. They have geniculate type of antenna. So with the help of antenna, they locate their floral sources. Even the queen, they get to know about the size of the hive cells, and they try to lay different type of eggs. And the bees, they have very unique type of legs, particularly their hind legs, they are of foraging type. So they, as I've told you earlier, that they keep the pollen into their legs, and they also have the antenna cleaning type of legs. So bees, they can have the different age-related tasks. As I've told you, they are social organisms. So during the first 2 days, the adult worker bees, they clean their hives. During uh, 3 to 5 days, they provide feed to the older larvae. 6 to 11 days, they provide feed to the younger larvae. And they also took up the activities of building the combs. They are also taking care of the hive entrances. They are also taking care of the enemies. And when they become 21 days old, so they come outside the hive, and they look after their surrounding to see how much nectar and pollen is available in the surrounding. So they carry out the foraging activities. So their whole age is being divided into different work. So it is called as polyethism. This is a bit about the honeybee anatomy. You can see here the alimentary canal and the nervous system. So nothing much to discuss about it. Now the important part is how to set up a bee apiary. So in order to set up a bee apiary, it is important that what kind of site we need to select. So a site should be the one which has the availability of the nectar and pollen sources. So these nectar and pollen sources we should be familiar with. These are basically the fruit trees, wildflowers, mustard, clover, eucalyptus, sunflower. I'll be discussing about it in detail in later in this particular session. And there should be a clean drinking water in the apiary. So what is apiary? Apiary is a place where we keep the colonies for pollination and production of honey and other hive products. Other than that, there should be the availability of wind breaks and shelter breaks to block the strong winds blowing during the intense summer season, and there should be accessibility of road for transportation of different high products, bee accessories, and others. So these are the conditions that is required for setting up a apiary. Now, in an apiary, we have the important entity that is the hive. So there are roughly about 7 different type of hives, and the important of them all is the Langstroth beehive, which is currently being used by the Indian beekeepers. So Langstroth beehive carries the Apis mellifera bees, European honeybees. Then other than that, Newton hive is there, British Standard hive, Jollycote hive, ISI hive, top bar hive, it is widely prevalent in Africa, Kenya. And flow hive, it is a unique invention being made by Australian father and son scientist. So I'll be discussing about it. So these beehives, they are made up of wood, particularly the wood of toon, teak, they are being made up of. So this is how the Langstroth beehive they looks like. These are the various part of beehive from bottom to top. You can see from bottom there is stand, there is bottom board, there is super, a deep super, or we call it as in some cases, since we keep only one single hive without any floor, so we call it as bottom board, then inner cover, then top cover. And the brood chamber consists of different frames. Those frames are nothing but the combs. So the Langstroth beehive is bigger in size, whereas the Newton beehive for Apicirana bees, it is of a shorter size, shorter dimensions. So inventor in Langstroth beehive is L.L. Langstroth, whereas the father Newton is the inventor for Newton beehive. So this is the first patent being given to the Langstroth for his unique patent of movable beehive by the US Patent Office. And these are the dimensions of the frames present inside the hives. So these frames, they have the comb foundation sheets where the honeybees will make the combs, hive cells, where they store the honey and different products. And this is the Indian Standard Institute type of beehive which is being made, specifically indigenized type of beehive. Inside the hive, this is how the frames they look like. So the frames, they can be of brood frame, then there can be a honey frame, and within the frame you can have different space being utilized for the pollen area, brood area, egg area. And these are the different accessories which is being utilized for beekeeping. So there is a queen excluder sheet which is important, which is being kept above the brood chamber, and it do not allow the movement of queen from bottom, from brood chamber to the super chamber. So this way we can get a very good quality of honey from the beehive. It is a very important accessory being required for carrying out the beekeeping. Other than that, we have hive tool which is required for removing and inserting the frames into the hive. We have cell extractor, smoker, bee brush. So such kind of equipments are required to successfully carry out the beekeeping. Then bee protective clothing are essential for carrying out the beekeeping, which include the bee wheel, overall, gloves. So they are being required to be weared by the beekeepers. Then other than that, we have the uncapping knife, which is being required to remove the wax caps above the honey area of bee frames. And we have the pollen trap, swarm net, and honey extractor. So this is the flow hive that I was talking about. It is one such hive which do not require the laborious extraction process, honey extraction process. Rather, it is a process where simply similar to the opening up of the tap of water. So similar to that, a tap is open to collect the honey in the bottle. So this father-son duo of Australia, Cedar Anderson and Stuart Anderson, they created this invention, and it has become famous world over. So no inspection is required, no smoke is required, no clothing is required for such kind of hive. So this is a unique invention by these scientists. Then when we are keeping the bees conventionally, so certain management practices are required. So what kind of management we need to do while carrying out the beekeeping? So it is important to regularly examine the bee colonies after wearing your gloves, your bee wheel and overall and everything. So during the winter season, it is important to carry out the examination of colony in order to understand whether there is any availability of disease or any enemy has entered inside the colony, or whether bees, they are performing well and true as per your expectation or not. So such kind of thing can only be known by examination of bee colony only. So during the winter season, you have to conduct the examination once a week in the during the sunny day, in the middle of the warm sunny day. Whereas during the summer season, only once and twice a month, particularly during the morning and the evening time when there is no intense sun is available. Then other than that, the hive, it should not be open during the windy day, rainy day. So it may lead to water may get enter inside the bee colony. So we need to take care of it. Other than that, during the winter season, it should not be open during the cloudy or chilly weather conditions. So colonies, they are readily being examined for the condition of queen, the availability of eggs, the amount of food stored, general condition of the colony, especially for the symptoms of bee diseases like nosema, foul brood, tracheal mite, ectoparasitic mite, Varroa, tropili. So in order to understand the condition of the hive, it is important to examine the colony. So bees, the record of bees, it is important for the beekeeper to make the record of bees, such as the number of frames are present in the bee colony, condition of the hive, age of the bee, queen bee particularly, area of honey, pollen stores in the colony, presence of any disease or condition of the queen, and overall strength of the colony. So you can only get to know only after examination of bee colony. During the spring season, it is an important season where when the flowers get bloom. So blooming of the flowers occur during the spring season. So it is one such season when there is a rapid development of bee colony takes place, rapid increase in the strength of bee colony takes place. So under such season, you can carry out the honey extraction also. You can get ample amount of honey from the bee colonies. So and you can also increase the number of bee colonies under spring season, particularly during February and April months. So, what kind of management practices are required? So, during the initial phase of spring season, it is important to provide the stimulative sugar feeding. That means that one part of sugar mixed in two parts of water. It is to be given to the bee colony with the help of feeder. So, the bees they get activated towards the flower and they draw nectar from the flowers, and ultimately they produce large amount of honey. But we witness one important problem during the spring season. Since the bee colony, the strength of bee colony increases rapidly, so there is lack of space, scarcity of space inside the beehives. It is important to provide the space to the colony. Under such, if under low availability of space, the bees, a part of bee colonies, along with the new queen, they leave the hive and they settle on a part of a tree, so that reduces the strength of the hive significantly. To counteract such swarming of bees, it is important to provide enough space to the bee colonies. So, by providing the frames, by providing the new drawn frames, or even by splitting the colonies, you can increase the number also and you can manage the swarming condition also. So you can also carry out these activities to manage the bees during the summer and the spring season. You can introduce the new queen into the strong colonies rather than keeping the colony as queenless, because queen is the one which produces the which lays the eggs. If the queen stops laying egg, or if the queen is not available, within a matter of 10-15 days, the colony get destroyed by itself. So it is important for overall circulation of the colony or maintenance of colony that it must have a good young queen available in the colony. Then if the colony has become poor in terms of strength, it is better to unite the two colonies into one, and it is the newspaper method which is being applied to unite the colonies and make two colonies into one. This is specifically done during the summer season when there is low availability of flora, and as a result the colonies they get weak. Then you can also, this is how you can also provide the sugar feeding to the hive. And in the last picture you can see this is how you carry out the honey extraction by means of the uncapping knife. You remove the you remove the wax cappings and you put the frames inside the honey extractor. You give a round of the honey extractor, and ultimately, as a result of a centrifugal force, all the honey comes out of the frames and you collect the honey. So during the summer season, May June month, particularly North India, even all over India, it is extremely hot period, and it is better to shift the colonies in the thick shade under the tree, and the colonies inspection or examination need to be done during the morning or evening hours. It is better to regulate the microclimate of the colony by sprinkling of water during noon, provide fresh clean water near the colonies. A cemented water tank can be installed near the colony, where a wooden pieces can be provided so that bees can sit over them and suck up the water. We can provide adequate ventilation to the colonies, and we can cultivate some crops during the summer season, such as berseem, which is called Egyptian clover, or even sunflower. So they can act as an important source for the bee colonies during such season. During the monsoon season, it is considered as the most harsh season because it is one such season which prevent bees to move outside of their hive. Because during the rainy season, the wings of the bees, they become wet and they could not fly properly. So since they could not fly properly, so they cannot reach out to their flowers. They cannot collect the nectar and pollen properly. That is the reason there is low availability of pollen and nectar within the hive, inside the hive, and because of which the strength of the colony also decreases. The colony becomes weak. They are being attacked by different enemies such as wax moth, mites, and within a short span of time, the whole colony, it gets destroyed. It is better to provide certain supplements, pollen supplement, pollen substitutes to the colony in order to combat such difficult situation. So sugar feeding is being given to the colonies in the ratio of 1:1. Other than that, we also provide the pollen supplements, which include 10 to 15% of pollen, and roughly about other ingredients, which include the brewer yeast, uh, uh, such as defatted soya flour, and the pollen substitute. It includes 3 parts of defatted soya flour, 1 part brewer yeast, and skimmed milk powder. But this is a problem basically for the small beekeepers, which have less than about 50 colonies. But for the large beekeepers, they, instead of keeping their colonies in the plain area of India, they uh, prefer to migrate their colonies to the hilly regions where there is more favorable weather and better availability of floral resources. So they escape such harsh condition by migrating their colonies. During the monsoon season, the bee colonies also witness the absconding of bees. This condition actually occurs as a result of the low availability of food materials, extreme heat and water scarcity, and attack of pests, ants, wasps, which force the bees to abandon the colony. So this particular condition is very devastating for a beekeeper because most of the bee colony, particularly in the plain area of India, Indo-Gangetic plain, they get destroyed as a result of absconding of bees. So how to come out of this particular condition? It is better to provide shade to the colony. Supplementary feeding can be provided. There is a need to keep the colony strong, and proper pest control methods needs to be applied in order to come out of such kind of condition of the bee colonies. So since I have discussed that the larger beekeepers, they migrate their colonies, so how a colony migration is being carried out? So if the colony is to be migrated at a very local distance, so it is suggested that the colonies, if they are to be shifted to less than 2 kilometers, so it is better to first of all take the colony to 3 kilometers, where those colonies will be kept for 15 to 20 days, and thereafter then it will shift it to the other place. So it is being done. This is the scientific phenomena which is being carried out in local migration. As far as long distance migration is concerned, it is better to pack the colonies properly, nailed properly, so that the frames inside the colony, they should not move. There is less movement, and it is preferred to carry out the migration in the night condition. We cannot carry out migration during the daytime. It is to be conducted during the night conditions. Now we'll discuss about what are the management practices during the winter season. So colony inspection needs to be conducted, as I've told you, during the warm sunny day, and the colony need to be open for the minimum time, because the brood which is being developing, the brood is nothing but the larva, pupa, and egg of honeybee. So they can get affected by the chilly weather. So brood chilling may take place. So shift the colony to the sunny and the exposed location rather than keeping it under the tree. And the face of the hives, even during the setup of the apiary, it is better to keep the entrance of the hive toward the southeast direction. Other than that, the winter packing should be carried out with the help of rice straw filled with the polythene. And it is important to plug the cracks and crevices in the colony. Then we can also provide a bit of supplementary feeding to the colonies. This is particularly advised to the beekeepers of hilly areas where there is the intense problem of harsh chilly weather over the colonies. So colonies may also get destroyed because of the harsh chilly weather. So to protect the colonies from the harsh chilly weather, it is preferred to give the supplementary feeding to the colonies. And we can provide the adequate space to the colonies for egg laying. So we have to provide the enough frames to the colony, because the queen bee, it is regularly laying the egg. It is laying the egg at the rate of 800 to 2000 eggs per day. So that is the reason we require space. And we have to control the swarming of the colonies by providing the adequate space. Now, to successfully conduct the beekeeping, it is better to understand the area surrounding our bee colonies. So the area should have the optimum availability of different flora uh, during different seasons. So if I talk about the major flora that is available in north part of India during the October November, it is the thoria, bear, eucalyptus. They provide both nectar and pollen to the honeybee, and they stimulate brood rearing, increase the strength of the colony. In December to February, the major, it is called the major honey flow season, where you get uh, optimum amount of honey from the bee colonies, particularly because of the larger and larger areas, large acreage of area of mustard, raya, eucalyptus, coriander, fennel, berseem. Okay, so we get maximum amount of honey from these sources. During March to April, we get honey, nectar, and pollen from eucalyptus, lychee, mango, citrus. And during May, June, the floral sources become very less, and the nectar also become very less. We do not get honey during this particular time. And during the monsoon season, as I've told you, since there is a less foraging activity, so we do not get adequate amount of pollen and nectar, and it becomes very difficult to sustain the colonies during such seasons. So it is important to plan by the beekeepers that how they have to keep the colony in the different areas. So different pollinator gardens are being prepared, considering the resource being provided by these different trees or plants in a different time or different seasons. So this picture depicts different sources of pollen and nectar, which include sunflower, eucalyptus, mustard, bottlebrush, Egyptian clover, moringa, and lychee. So you can see how the bees, they visit and they collect nectar and pollen from these sources. Now, the important part of beekeeping, as I've told you, that one of the bee product is the royal jelly. Other than that, we also multiply the hives. So there is a technique of mass multiplication of beehives by means of mass queen bee rearing. In order to have maximum number of bee colonies, there should be a technique for multiplying the queen bees. So this can be multiplied by means of mass queen bee rearing methods. So there are roughly 5 to 6 methods of mass queen bee rearing, such as Miller method, Allen method, Hopkin method, Smith method, Doolittle method. And in all these methods, there are 2 3 important same things are that in all these methods, one day larva is required for making the queens. So one day larva is the one which is being feeded the royal jelly, and from then onwards, the can get converted into the full-fledged bee, queen bee. So this can be done with the help of following materials such as cell breeder colony, cell starter colony, cell builder colony, grafting needle, pollen frame, one day larva, then nicot queen rearing kit, bee wheel and gloves. So grafting needle is the one which is required for lifting the one day larva. And before that, we prepare our the the frames where we have to place these one day larvae. So these frames and the cups that we prepare, queen cups that we prepare, it is being primed with the diluted form of royal jelly, which we get from our natural hives. So that diluted form of the royal jelly, it stimulate the worker honeybees to secrete the royal jelly from their hypopharyngeal gland. So the question can be raised that from where does we get the bee milk, that is the royal jelly? It is the worker honeybee which secretes the royal jelly from their hypopharyngeal gland. So once we place these one day larvae inside this queen rearing frame in the queen cell cups, so after that, when we place this whole frame inside a queenless colony, the queenless colony which has a instinct, which has the instinct of building the new queens, so such colony is called the cell builder colony. So when we place this frame, so all the workers, they will try to make a queen from these one day larvae. So ultimately, multiple queens can get developed as a result of the mass queen bee rearing methods. So these are the various type of materials which is being required for mass queen bee rearing, which include the queen cell cups, sockets, okay, honeybee wax. Now, why there is a need of selection of mother colony? Now, in case of beekeeping, there is nowadays a requirement of those bee colonies which have a following traits. So those traits can include, they should be highly productive in nature, they should resist the disease and the pest, they should be gentle in temperament, that they should not sting the beekeeper, and they should be prolific honey gatherer. So if such a quality exists in a bee colony, so such colony, we can assume that it can be highly productive and it can sustain the harsher conditions of the environment. So it is being believed that such colonies are need to be selected, and they need to be mass multiplied. They can be mass multiplied by means of mass queen bee rearing methods. So it is the only method that I am going to discuss out of these method is the Doolittle method, which is the most latest method being developed by Doolittle. And in this particular method, we use the grafting needle, which is required to lift the one day larva of honeybee. And these one day larva, after being lifted, they get grafted into the queen cell cups, and those queen cell cups, we fit them inside the sockets in the queen rearing frame, and those queen bee rearing frame, they are fitted inside the cell builder colony. Okay, so the important prerequisites and precautions that are required are, we need to select a bee colony with the desired traits. One day larva we need to extract, we need to lift, and we have to put them into the mass queen bee rearing frame. We have to place them inside a cell builder colony. The cell builder colony should be queenless. It should not have the open brood. Otherwise, they will not make the multiple queens. And the cell builder colony should have adequate amount of pollen and nectar. So after inserting the one day larva, the frame is inserted inside the colony. Then the another advancement that have taken place in order to get one day larva is the nicot system for egg laying. So a queen, it is being entered inside the nicot system. Here on the left hand side of your screen, you can see there is an entry hole. Inside this entry hole, a queen is being inserted, and the queen will lay the eggs in the cell. After 3 days, these cells, all the eggs, they get hatched, and we can get the one day larva. It is very difficult to lift the one day larva. Majority of times the larva, they get destroyed. So this is one of the easy methods of getting the one day larva, nicot system. And these nicot system can be fitted inside the frame, and they can be inserted inside the cell builder colony. Now bees, they are also being attacked by several bee enemies, as I have discussed with you that during the rainy season, summer season, they are being attacked by greater wax moth, lesser wax moth, ants, wasp, and nowadays one invasive pest has also entered inside the bee colony, which is called small hive beetle. Other than that, the bees are also being attacked by varroa mites, different type of tracheal mites, rats, skunks, okay, beer. So a variety of different enemies are attacking the bee colonies. So this is the list of different bee enemies which is being attacking the bee colonies. And we'll first discuss about the wax moth. It is a moth which lay eggs inside the weak colony. They prefer the weak colony, the empty hives, and they lay the eggs at a very larger rate. And as a result, the larva which hatches from the egg, they feed extensively upon the comb of the hives. As a result, the whole hive it get destroyed, and the bees they abandon such hive. So such serious damage we get to witness specifically during the rainy season because of these two different species of wax moth, that is Galeria melonella and Acroia grisella. You can see the degree of damage being done by the Galeria melonella on bee combs, and the larvae that you see on your screen of Galeria melonella destroying the wax combs. Then this is the damage you are seeing is that of the lesser wax moth, that is Acroia grisella. You can see the fecal pellets of the larvae, and it is contaminating and destroying the hive at a very faster rate. As a result of its attack, there is a condition called bald brood occurs because of this particular wax moth. So how to manage such problem? It is important to maintain strong colonies during summer and the rainy season. We have to avoid the pesticide spray in the vicinity of the apiary. We have to control this particular insect by mechanical methods by means of traps. We can catch these particular moths with the help of insect nets. And we have to remove the empty frames and store them properly in different places. So this is how we keep the empty frames during summer season, and rainy season. The strength of the colony decreases, so we have to remove the frames and we have to keep it inside the storehouses. The best way method is the one which is there on the right hand side of your screen, the correct method. So this is how we have to keep the empty frames inside the brood chamber. The wax moth trap is also there, which require the plastic bottle of 2 liters, drilling one hole of 1.25 inch, and it involve mixing the vinegar and sugar 1:1 ratio and a chopped banana peel. So it will attract the maximum and majority of wax moth towards it, and as a result, we prevent the infestation of wax moth. Then there are mites, different species of mites which attack the bee colonies, which include Varroa mite, Tropilaileps mite, Acaripis woodi. Varroa mite sucks the hemolymph of the honeybees. As a result, they become weak, they fail to conduct their regular activities, and they become dead after a few days. And similarly, Tropilaileps mite, they makes the pupae and adult malformed. And Acaripis woodi, which is an endoparasitic mite, it enters inside the trachea of the honeybee adults and blocks the hive. As a result, we get a condition of K wings. They crawl in front of the hive. So that is the attack of Acaripis woodi. It transmit a disease called acarine disease. So control measures for the mites are application of formic acid at the rate of 85% solution by keeping 5 ml per day for 14 days. Similarly, we can keep 4 gram of thymol crystal on plastic cups, and we can apply oxalic acid application as 3.2% by mixing 40 gram in 500 gram sugar, 500 ml water, and even sulfur dusting can be carried out on the top bars of the frames. And we can prevent the attack of ants and wasps by keeping the ant wells below the hives. So and that ant wells can be filled with the water. So ants they get afraid of getting inside the water. Similarly, wasp can be prevented from entering the hives by making the entrance of the hive shorten by means of plugging with the mud, so they get a very low space to get enter inside the hive. Now there are various diseases prevalent in the bees, which include American foul brood, European foul brood, chalk brood disease, nosema disease, thigh sac brood disease. American foul brood and European foul brood, both of them, they are bacterial diseases. American foul brood, this disease is not prevalent in India. It is prevalent in Western countries. And as a result, the brood, which is also called the pollen of the pollen of the pupae of the bee colony, they become sunken. And whenever any matchstick is thrust inside the brood, so a ropiness can be seen. Whereas the European foul brood, which is caused by the Melissococcus pluton, so it is a disease of larvae of honeybees. So the larvae, they become yellow to brown in color, coiled, and they become scale inside the hive. So similarly, some chalk brood condition is also there. So chalk brood involve converting the developing larvae and pupae into the mummies because of the fungus Ascosphaera apis. Then there is a disease called Nosema disease caused by Nosema apis. In this disease, the abdomen of the adult honeybee becomes swollen, and the bees, they become decentric. So spotting can be seen on the spotting on the brood chamber. Yellow spots can be seen on the near the entrance of the beehives. And last disease is the virus disease, that is Thai-Sec brood virus. It is one such virus disease which caused large-scale devastation in India in Apis-Sirena beehives in the year 1991-92. Roughly about 80% of beehives in India get destroyed because of this particular disease. So it is a devastating disease which has attacked the Indian bee colonies in the year 1992. So these are the symptoms that we get to see because of the European foul brood. You can see on left hand side of your screen, the larvae, instead of being milky in color, they become yellow to brown in color. And on the right hand side, you see American foul brood symptoms where the ropiness you can visualize, you can see. And whereas the Nosema disease, you can see the spots on the near the entrance of the beehive. Such spots is a typical symptom of the Nosema disease. So how to manage bee diseases? We need to keep the colonies strong, and we need to unite the weak colonies. Then there is a shook swarm method where we shook the frames of the hive, and thereafter we requeen the colonies. So we provide a new queen to the colonies, which will lay good eggs, good quality eggs, disease-free eggs. So that will lead to a better population of the bees. Then we have to fumigate the hives and combs with acetic acid 98%, and we have to maintain extreme hygienic condition of the hives. And if there is any infected hives are available in the apiary, we need to isolate that hive and destroy the infected colonies. Now, a newer advancement which is taking place in case of apiculture is the artificial insemination, and the or it is also called as queen insemination, which is taking place to get a desired type of bee population, which is having a very good traits, good genetic traits, good desirable traits. So such kind of things can only be possible with the help of the artificial insemination, where the semen is collected from 12 to 15 different types of drones, particularly those which are having unique characteristics desired by the beekeepers, such as the tolerance to the disease, tolerance to the pest enemies, prolific temperament, gentle nature. So such kind of desirable traits are required in the beef. So it improves the genetics of the bees, and it also allows the large scale production of mated queen bee, which will strengthen the bee colonies and allow a better production of different bee hive products. So this was all about, I have discussed the fundamentals of beekeeping, the advancement that is taking place, how to manage the bee colonies, and what are the advancement that is taking place. In India, you can see several beekeeping success stories. Only 3 success stories I have given here, where on left hand side, you can see a 20-year-old girl from Kashmir. She is earning up to rupees 2 lakh every month through beekeeping, and she is managing about 650 plus bee colonies. So a young youth, they can channelize their energy towards this particular enterprise of agriculture where they can earn lots and lots of money. Similarly, you can see a visually impaired person, a self-taught beekeeper who is earning a lot from beekeeping in Nagaland. And on the right hand side, you see a pioneer of beekeeping and one of the emerging pioneer of beekeeping in India from Bangalore, a Bangalore bee man. He is recognized. So he is earning up to 2 crores of rupees on annual basis from beekeeping industry. So beekeeping, as I've told you, that it has been the part of the different civilization, our art. You can see that on the left-hand side, the bees were initially recognized, and they have been tightly associated with the human civilization, where in cave painting of Spain, you can see the spider caves, that the bee man or bee hunter, he is hunting the honey from the beehive. Similarly, on the Egyptian temple, Karnak, there is a depiction of honeybee on the temple, and you can also see the representation of honeybee on the coins also in the Greek coins, and also on the Tonga country coins. So it is being given importance to the honeybees. In Indian civilization, the honeybee, as I've told you, it is considered as important aspect of Ayurveda, and it is considered as having the Yogvahi character. It is being considered as Amrit in Purans. In Western culture, also the bees have a unique place. In the Celtic civilization, the bees, they are considered. There is a concept of telling the bees. So whenever a major thing has happened to the family in European countries, so they will tell to the bees that a birth of a child has taken place, or a death of a person has taken place. Even 3 4 years back, when Queen Elizabeth II has died, so royal beekeeper told to their bee colonies that the Queen Elizabeth has died. So this is a culture which is being developed in the Celtic civilization, particularly European countries, where it is believed that the bees, they are part of their family. So a sense of belongingness is being created for the bees in the European countries. And in the left hand side of your screen, you can see the honey hunters of Nepal, where they take a risk of their life. They climb the cliff and they try to extract the honey from Apis laboriosa hive. So they risk their lives to extract the honey. Similarly, the middle pic you see is the bee skeps. So that is the traditional beekeeping, which is now being extinct, but this used to be the more prevalent method previously. So right now I'm also conducting beekeeping at my place. You can see here in this picture, I'm teaching students of BSc horticulture about beekeeping. This is our apiary at Acharya Narendra Dev University of Agriculture and Technology, and we are also producing honey. So this is it. Thank you very much. So I would like to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to deliver this particular expert lecture. And I would also like to thank the participants who have been patiently listening to me for up to 1.5 hour. So if there is any question from the participants, I'm ready to take up.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So this is Aniket. Sir, I want to know, sir, in a one colony, minimum population is how much? Means how many queens, how many drones, and how many workers are there?
In a single colony, there are about 20,000 worker bees are there, and there is only one queen bee, and there are only about 200 to 500 drones. Drones are the male population, male haploid population, whereas the queen, it is the fertile female, and the workers, they are also female, but they are sterile in nature. They cannot reproduce. So this is how they are present in the colony.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other person? Anyone can ask the question from me. Anyone?
Okay, so thank you very much, sir. Your valuable and learning sessions for today and wonderful
Sorry to
sessions.
interrupt. Another question, sir. Sir,
जी
Yeah, yeah.
हाँ.
सर
Okay,
जो
ask.
सात प्रकार के सर है बी टाइप्स, मतलब जो स्पीसीज है, सबका
हम्म.
पॉपुलेशन, इस सबका पॉपुलेशन इतना ही होता है ना, वो वैरी करता है स्पेसीज टू
उसमें
स्पेसीज?
उसमें वेरिएशन, there is a variation in each different species. Like in Apis dorsata is a bigger sized hive. So they must be having large number of worker bee population. But in all these species, there will be only one queen bee. All these species, all the species of honeybee, there will be only one queen bee. Queen bee will be only the one. The variation would be there in terms of the population of worker bees and the drone population. But
सर
more or less, it will be around 10 to 20, 10 to 20,000 worker bee population and 200 to 500 drone population.
sir means sir, another question, sir. So
Hmm.
if the size of the honeycomb is large, that means worker bees are more in that colony.
Yeah, you can say so. The dimension of a hive, it typically depends upon the amount of resources which the honeybees are storing and the amount of the brood population which is developing inside the hive. So more is the brood population, that means more worker foraging force will be developing, like more larger population of worker bees will be developing. So that will ultimately increase the population of the hive. So if a shorter dimension are there, there are two things like Apis florea. I have told you that is also called little bee. So they have a very small hive. We can get only about half kg of honey per colony per year. But their population is also very less. Their size is also very less. Their worker bee population is roughly about 1500 to 2000 population.
Sir, another question, sir. Sir, the
Yes.
drones don't get involved with the worker in making the
No,
honeycomb.
no, no. Drone
So,
gets involved in mating with the queen bee only. When the queen develops after 16 days, so the queen, it moves outside of the hive for nuptial flight. So during the nuptial flight, she mates with 10 to 12 drones in the flight, during in the flight only. When she is flying, when the queen honeybee it is flying, so during the flying she will mate with 10 to 12 drones. Okay, so this is how she mates. That is called nuptial flight mating. But
okay, sir.
workers also at times they lay eggs. They only lay eggs at a time when there is no queen is present inside the colony. So when there is no queen in the colony, at that time there is a pheromone which is being released by the queen honeybee, which is called queen substance. So that queen substance is present all over the body of honeybee, queen bee, sorry. That is present all over the body of queen honeybee. When a queen honeybee move inside the hive, then workers also move inside the hive and they lick the body of the queen honeybee. So when they are licking the body of the honeybee, they are also getting the taste of the queen substance. So queen substance is a pheromone which inactivates the reproductive system of worker honeybees. But once the queen honeybee gets killed because of any emergency reason or accidental reason, so queen honeybee is not there, so is the queen substance is also not there. As a result, the worker honeybee again they develop their reproductive system, but whatever the eggs they will lay the haploid eggs, drone eggs. All those eggs will get converted into drones rather than into the workers.
Sir, means if the workers lick the queen substance, they are in their reproductive state is inactive.
Yeah, if they are licking the body of the queen honeybee and they are getting the queen substance into their body, so their reproductive system is inactive. They will not be able to carry out the reproduction
Okay, sir.
because
Thank you,
it
sir.
is allowing only the queen to lay the eggs. This system is allowing only queen to lay the eggs. So that is how the society of bees are built.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Understood, na? You got it,
Yes,
na?
sir.
I suppose.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any other question?
Any other questions, please? Okay, no more questions. So I sincerely thanks to users your wonderful and informative sessions and
Thank you very much,
our
sir. Thank you very
participants.
much for giving me the opportunity for being amongst the students, for being amongst the participants. And this is only very first or the second time I am delivering this online lecture. Although I am a teacher and I'm teaching in the college, but I have not been involved in the any kind of online lectures previously. So I would like to thank you, sir, the organizers of the Meadow Agriculture, who invited me to deliver this lecture. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, you're welcome, sir.
सर
So
आंसर वन लास्ट क्वेश्चन सर.
जी.
सर आपने जो बताया था कि वो जो क्वीन सब्सटेंस लीक करने के बाद वो इनएक्टिव हो जाता है, फिर अगर मर जाता है क्वीन तो वो वर्कर लोग वो एक्टिव मतलब वो क्या रिप्रोडक्टिव एक्टिव हो जाते हैं. तो वो
हाँ,
सर जो
उसके
एक
रिप्रोडक्टिव सिस्टम दोबारा एक्टिव हो जाता है और वो ड्रोन के एग्स ले करता है.
सर तो वो क्या विदाउट मीटिंग एग्स ले करते हैं जो कि ड्रोन
हाँ,
में डाल.
विदाउट मीटिंग, क्योंकि ड्रोन जो होता है वो हैप्लॉइड नेचर का होता है. ड्रोन जो होते
अच्छा.
हैं इट इज ऑफ हैप्लॉइड नेचर. जब
ओके
भी
सर.
मीटिंग होती है तो जो भी जाइगोट बनता है वो डिप्लॉयड नेचर का बनता है. तो मीटिंग के बाद में जो एग लेइंग होती है, जो क्वीन हनी बी ले क्वीन बी जो लेइंग करती है, वो अपने मन से एग लेइंग कर सकती है. वो हैप्लॉइड एग भी ले कर सकती है और वो डिप्लॉयड एग्स भी ले कर सकती है. जब वो हैप्लॉइड एग्स ले करती है तो उससे वर्कर बनते हैं. जब वो सॉरी जब डिप्लॉयड एग्स ले करती है तब वो वर्कर्स बनते हैं. और जब हैप्लॉइड एग्स ले करती है सो दैट विल कन्वर्ट इनटू ड्रोन्स. दिस इज हाउ इट टेक्स प्लेस.
सर डाइप्लॉइड से क्या होता है सर?
डाइप्लॉइड जैसे टू सेट्स ऑफ क्रोमोसोम्स होते हैं.
नहीं
ठीक
नहीं
है.
वो सर
जब
तो. जी सर.
हाँ,
वो
जैसे
वर्कर होता
गेमेट्स
है.
होता है ना, जैसे स्पर्म होता है और ओवम होता है.
जी सर.
डू यू नो व्हाट इज स्पर्म एंड ओवम? मेल गैमीट होता है और एक फीमेल गैमीट होता है.
जी सर.
ठीक है. सो मेल गैमीट जो है कहाँ से मिलेगा? ड्रोन से मिलेगा. ठीक है. और फीमेल गैमेट जो है क्वीन बी से मिलेगा. सो जब मेल और फीमेल गैमेट जो है जब मिलते हैं, जब फर्टिलाइजेशन होता है मेल और फीमेल गैमेट का, सो इट विल ट्रांसफॉर्म इनटू द जाइगोट. और उस जाइगोट जो होता है जाइगोट दैट इज डिप्लॉयड इन नेचर. लेकिन अब क्या होता है कि क्वीन हनी बी के अंदर एक ऐसा मैकेनिज्म होता है जिससे वो वॉलेंट्री फर्टिलाइजेशन कर सकती है. जब शुरुआत में वो न्यूक्लियल फ्लाइट में मीटिंग करके आती है तो उसके एक ऑर्गन होता है जिसको बोलते हैं स्पर्माथीका. उस स्पर्माथीका में सारा स्पर्म्स भर जाता है जो ड्रोन से उसको मिलता है. और वो अपने मन से जो है अपने एग को फर्टिलाइज करवा सकती है और नहीं भी करवा सकती. जिसको फर्टिलाइज करवाती है वो जो है वर्कर हनी भी बन जाते हैं और जिसको फर्टिलाइज नहीं करवाती वो जो है ड्रोन बन जाते हैं.
सर मतलब डाइप्लॉइड गैमेट से सर वर्कर होते हैं और
हाँ,
हैप्लॉइड से ड्रोन होते हैं.
ड्रोन होते हैं.
स्पर्माथिका से वो सैक लाइक वो क्या वो एक सैक होता है
वो
जिसमें
एग, हाँ, वो स्पर्म स्टोरिंग ऑर्गन होता है विच इज प्रेजेंट इन दी क्वीन हनी बी.
ओके सर. Thank you very much, sir.
More than questions, please. Any other? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very
Today
much, sir.
you delivered a very knowledgeful and doubtness sessions. So you can delivered a knowledgeful and doubtful sessions. Thank you, sir, and thank
ठीक है,
you
thank you very
all
much.
active participation.
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you very much. Okay, thank you.
Okay, today's session is concluded.